All right, hello and welcome to a kind of part 2 of my no SSU tutorial for beginners and blah, blah, blah. This isn't going to be for beginners. It's going to be, the part 2 is going to be focusing more on intermediate strategies. So, you know, let's say that you've got your like first sub 1 hour time, you've followed everything in the beginner's guide, and you feel like, you know, you're sort of hitting a plateau maybe, or you've watched more world record runs and you're like, oh, I want to implement these strategies, but English Ben hasn't taught me to do them yet. Well, here you go. Merry Christmas. We're going to be looking through a bunch of different strategies. If you want a particular one, you should be able to check, but just by hovering over the timeline, because hopefully I've put video chapters in, so you'll be able to see what strategy I'm talking about when. They're going to be in mostly like, you know, sequential order, so from the start of the game to the end of the game. So if you want to look some more towards end game strats, go to the end, etc. Also, this is going to include my inputs on the top left as usual, but I'm not going to go into great detail about all of the strategies, simply because you're not a beginner anymore if you're watching this video and you're learning from this. Obviously, a lot of people don't actually play the game and just watch for fun, in which case that's absolutely fine. But if you're actually trying to learn strategies here, then it's more than likely that you're at a level where you shouldn't need to be spoon-fed like every single, like how to make a replay, how to do this, how to do that. Like if I say make a close replay, you should just know what I'm talking about. If you don't know what I mean, then it's likely that you're better off looking at the beginner's video again. So it'll be a bit more of a high pace, I guess, so to describe. Also in terms of these strategies might be more or less difficult for you. Like everyone has preferences on what they choose to do. So if you look at the first thing, you're like, oh, this is too difficult for me. Don't, give up. Keep watching, check out other strategies, because just because the first one is difficult doesn't mean that they're going to get harder. It might be the hardest one at the start, so on and so forth. So just have a look through all of them and just see what you like to do. There are plenty of strategies that are more advanced that I don't do because I tried them and didn't like them. Simple as that. And then I, did other ones and made up that time elsewhere. So the first thing that we're going to be looking at is different ways to start the game. So obviously, usually you're doing like the Molotov start with the ambulance and everything, but there are quicker ways to deal with that. I'm going to show you what's called the Admiral Start, which is like a kind of in-between of Molotov and the world record strategies. So it does involve getting a cop car, which is luck-based, because there is a consistent spawn of a cop car that we're going to make the use of, but it only is consistent if you enter a certain radius of the map, like a trigger point with 1 star or more. So you need to start the game and get 1 star. The easiest way to do that is to just cause a bit of chaos by running over people on the way to driving to the hotel. But that isn't always consistent. It's also worth noting that you need to do this for speedruns anyway, but in case you're doing this casually and you want to do this strat for whatever reason, you need to restart the game fresh for this to work. If you trigger that cop trap that I'll show you in a second, and then you just go here and just start a new game in the menu, like pause and restart a new game, that cop won't spawn the second time. You need to restart the game, and that's a good reason why we need to restart the game in between every attempt anyway, because the game is different unless you do that. So you could technically drive around, spawn all the cop traps, and then you wouldn't have to deal with them in later runs, which would obviously be an unfair advantage and a whole can of worms that you don't want to get into. So let's just start a run. The auto splitter will start. Don't care about that. I'll just cancel it. And I'm going to show you how I would do an Admiral Start. As I say, this is random, so I might not get enough of a wanted level. If that does happen, I'll just get a wanted level. Like I'll just use a fucking cheat or something just to demonstrate. But rather than getting to the Faggio here, I'm going to get straight into the Admiral instead. The Admiral is a lot better to run people over with. Obviously, a Faggio, you'll likely fall off. So you just want to be looking for people. I hug the left-hand side here. More likely that you'll get people on the left. And you want to run over like, 2 or 3 people. But what makes this complicated is that your wanted level is like constantly going down over time. So the more people you get, the better. But there's no like definitive thing on what you should do. You can also punch your door off there, and you can also punch the car behind as well. That wasn't a great attempt because I crashed on the way there. But we can always give it another idea. So as I say, when you get out, you can knock off your door, which will continue. Don't worry about this cop. You can also punch this, what's it called? The Oceanic here. This will all give you chaos points. And hopefully you'll have a wanted level, which will take you to this section. And if you have a 1-star wanted level or more, if you go to this sort of section here and you walk here, if you don't sprint, because sprinting will cause you to run through the trigger and not trigger it. As you can see, there is a cop car, and then you can use that to continue on with your journey. So the benefits of getting a cop car here are that you get 5 shotgun shells, so you don't have to pick up the shotgun during a back alley brawl. You can just head straight to the chef. And also, which I'll showcase you to in just a second, you don't have to death warp with the Molotov and everything. So you can just take the cop car and drive straight to where you're going to be making a chainsaw replay instead of the Molotov replay, and just set it up with the cop car instead. So I'm going to quickly restart the game, and I'll show you what it looks like on like a clean attempt. That is a much cleaner attempt. Here you can just get into the passenger side here. If you try and get into the driver's side, there's a good chance you'll get busted. You can risk it, but it's up to you. But yeah, once you get a decent clean start like this, you can start Vigilante and go here. And swing the car around and make a replay just here. It's further away from the wall than you think it is. Again, I'm not going to talk about references too much because you can just literally follow the video at a more intermediate level. Cancel Vigilante here. And then swing around and start with the cop car. The only difference is here that you have to manually cancel Vigilante. Getting out of the cop car won't cancel Vigilante. So you have to actually make sure you cancel it there. As opposed to the ambulance where you can just start the rampage, get out, and then ambulance will just cancel itself. Also here you need to actually bail out of the car to land into the marker. Because you can't just, you know, crash into the marker and fall off. But then everything else is exactly normal until we get to the Malibu Club on the next mission. So I'll see you there in just a second. So once you exit the Malibu Club, this is where your second and bigger time save comes in, as you can simply just drive straight over. So rather than going across to the shotgun here, you can just go over here. Be careful of that curb and bail you off, but you could just go right here because you've already got a shotgun. Now the problem is here is that when you pick up the phone, obviously you're going to want to restart the rampage, but we don't have a Molotov, which is a weapon that you can sprint with. Instead, we have the chainsaw, which you can't sprint with. So what I would recommend doing, it's up to you either way. So there's 2 different ways of doing it. What you can do is you can what's called man duping the phone. So you play the replay of the rampage pickup as you pick up the phone, which then allows you to it switches your weapon away from the chainsaw on the next section, so that you don't have the chainsaw. You can run and do everything as normal. The problem with that is that it starts the rampage timer really, really early. So you'll need to likely replay the lines quite a lot. I'm pretty sure we talked about replaying away lines in the beginner's tutorial. I'm pretty sure I did. Hopefully I did. Otherwise that won't make a ton of sense. But yeah, so it makes this section really tight. So it's up to you. The other option is that you can simply just, I guess there's 3 options. The second option is that you can wait and just pick up the phone as normal. And then you can just slide over with the chainsaw. If you're not sure what I mean about sliding, I'm sure I can do a section. I'll include that at some point. So again, just skip on the chapters until you see the sliding bit. I might even do it after this, because then it'd make sense and you can just skip to the next one. But if I forget, then just have a look in the video somewhere. So you can slide with the chainsaw, and that will allow you to get to Lance's car nice and quick. Obviously, the problem is that you need to get to Lance's car quickly. And the other option is you can just jump, which is a bit slow, but you know, it's up to you. Ultimately, just try whatever works. Obviously, picking up this, like man duping the phone like this, is luck essentially. Even if your timing is correct, you can sometimes pick up the rampage without the phone, and in that case, you're stuck for 2 minutes because you can't pick up stuff like the phone on the rampage. If that happens, you know, you've lost 2 minutes. You might as well reset. But if all goes well, you can pick it up like this, and then you're just on a slightly more strict time limit, but you've got the gun and you can do everything as normal. So when we're talking about sliding in this next section, there's two ways to slide. I'll just quickly type in here to get some weapons, because there's a way that you can do it with a weapon and the way that you can do it without a weapon. I'd recommend learning the way without the weapon as your main source of sliding, because there's only one section in a run where I'd recommend to do it with a weapon, if that makes sense. All other instances, if you're going to slide to save time, I would recommend to do it without the weapon. So I'll show you the weaponless version first. It is a little more tricky, but once you've learned it, it's much better in my opinion, because you can use it in more places. So it's a lot more versatile. So what you want to do is you want to move in a certain direction, left or right. This is preference. It's completely up to you. I personally turn right. That's what I do. So I hold D. And then you need to switch your direction to either forward or backwards. Again, either works. But for me personally, I use D and then W. So you want to go hold D and then switch to W. And on the next frame that you switch to W, you double tap F1 to play a replay. So again, you can try this like 5 times in a row and only lose a couple of seconds. So hold D, press W, double tap F1 like this. And then as long as you keep holding a button, as you can see, I'm sliding, which is slightly faster than jogging, but it's not as quick as sprinting. But this has a lot of uses. For example, when you're on phone calls that you can't glitch, or when you're in interiors where you can't sprint, things like that, then sliding is a much faster movement option. And as we just discussed, if you have the chainsaw during the Admiral Start, you can slide with this, which is a lot faster than slowly walking with the chainsaw, or jumping, which is awkward, okay? Something also to note is that you don't have to hold W the whole time. If you play a replay while holding W and then let go in the replay, as you can see here, when I cancel the replay, I'm now not touching anything, I'm not pressing any keys, and I can still slide around and just look around with my mouse. And then you can cancel it any time by either letting go of W, or in this case, re-holding it and letting go. And then slide again. It might take a couple of tries to get used to it. And then you can hold W, and then second you let go, you stop. So that's pretty much sliding in a nutshell. The other way to do it, the first way that was discovered, and the only way for a while, was moving forward, switching weapons, and then when you switch weapons on the next frame, double tapping F1. Like this. So obviously for this, you require weapons, so it's not as versatile, but it is easier in terms of the timing. So it's up to you which one you want to learn, but I would recommend learning the first version, and you can do it with weapons as well. So you can do it whenever you like, as you can see. It is much more versatile. You can use it in absolutely any scenario, which makes it way better, in my opinion. So another strategy that you can do here, which is a different version of the chase. This isn't necessarily much faster. It doesn't save a huge amount of time. It is faster, but only by a little margin. But the big benefit of this strategy is that it allows you to minimize the luck involved in the old strategy. So in the old strategy, you might have seen in your runs that when you're going along and doing this strategy here with the chase, you might drive against the wall like I showcased in my beginner video, and then the guy who you leave behind and hijack shoots your target as he's running along towards you and towards the wall. So you can actually fail the mission that way, which is pretty annoying. So this is slightly faster. It's slightly more difficult, but the important bit is that you never have that luck based, so it makes it 100% consistent. So what you want to do is you want to run down as we did before, but just before you see the guy appear, you're about to hit the trigger, the way I do it is I wait for his head to appear. That works for me. Another reference is people say once the arrow has fully appeared, if you look towards the guy who's about to jump down after me. Either one works. But you use a close replay to gain control. And then what you want to do is you want to throw the guy out of the car, hold right click so that you don't get in the car afterwards because you're in like an aiming animation, so you can't. And then turn around, shoot the guy on the ground, and then get in, get out, get in. And it's a weird thing to describe. You'll notice it when you see it. But you like overwrite the guy in the car, and then you can just drive him to assassination. So you don't have to do the whole messing around with the wall.
What is this exactly?
There you go. As you can see that you've sort of overwritten him, so it's just you in the car now. You sort of delete him out of existence. and you never have to deal with this guy because you've killed him in the cutscene already. The important thing with the timing for that final section where you get out, sorry, you get in, get out, get in like that, is you only do it once he starts moving, this guy on the other side. So you shoot this guy, shoot him, blah, blah, blah. And then you turn around, wait until he moves. He's like stuck halfway in the car like this. And then he like glitches and moves. It's kind of hard to describe. But again, if you go back, you'll know what I mean. That's when you start mashing F to get out, get in, out, in, and then you can drive away. It's a little difficult to explain, you know, because it's like a weird glitchy movement. But you'll know what I mean when you see it. So the next strategy that we're going to look at is killing Lance on Phnom Penh. I deliberately didn't do it in my... It's actually quite an easy strategy, but the reason why I didn't cover it in my beginner's guide is because if you mistime it even slightly, you will softlock. And that is obviously not something that I really want to teach beginners because it only saves a couple of seconds and risking a softlock when you're starting off isn't really worth it. But once you've got an idea of, you know, what you're doing, then this is a free time save for you. So it's right at the end. We're gonna just quickly skim through these guys. But the only thing that you need to know about the softlock is simply put, if you are too late, you will softlock on shooting Lance. There is a very particular timing, and the timing is as soon as he starts his dialogue. But when I mean as soon as he starts, I mean as soon as he starts. If you're a second off, it is too late. And also, you need to make sure that you kill all of these guys ahead of time, because if you whiff them and watch the cutscene, you don't have time to kill him. Okay. See, the second you do it, that's when you go down. And he drops you a lot faster. And it is very important as well to get your ass over here as quickly as possible, because it is possible for Lance to flip the helicopter when you kill him and he you know, flips over from the landing. And he can blow up and you'll fail the mission. So you need to run up as quickly as possible before that happens. If you take too long running up to grab the briefcase, then you will fail the mission, even if you don't softlock. So that's very important to keep in mind. So next up is what we're going to call Ammunation Skip. This is the first part of like a two-parter skip. Basically during Shakedown, as I'm sure you all know from your beginner runs, you go to Ammunation during that mission and you purchase a snipe rifle and grenades for the strategies. But what this does is it allows you to grab the snipe rifle and the grenades in different places without losing any time, like during auto-scrollers, which then allows you to not have to go to Ammunation, saving about 10 seconds on Shakedown, as you can just do the mission start to finish without taking that detour. So the first section involves Guardian Angels. Obviously, we're doing a lot of waiting around in this mission, but what we can actually do is grab the grenades at the police station during the mission. This might sound like a really logical thing to do, and why didn't you teach me that as a beginner? The reason because it's very easy to fail the mission if you're not quick and you're not very methodical on what you do. So when you gain control here and we head upstairs and we start the actual sort of timer for the mission to begin, we're going to have to do a couple of things, and it's going to change up how the mission goes quite a lot. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start sprinting away from the deal immediately. But we need to turn around and start looking at Diaz almost straight away, because the check for this is we're actually out of bounds right now in terms of the mission. Here is where I turn around and look, and I'm going to start jumping like this. The reason for it is because I need to keep Diaz on camera, because fortunately there's a check not only for distance, but also if Diaz is on camera. If he is not on the camera while I collect these grenades, the mission will fail. So it's very important that I keep him on camera the whole time while I run back into the radius, and now I'm fine. And then you can just continue on. But as you can see, this makes this mission a lot more chaotic. It's not too bad. I don't foresee, you know, with a bit of practice, you don't really find it, you know, particularly difficult, but it's just important to know as a beginner, this mission is already quite difficult enough as it is, learning all the, you know, the things at the end of the mission. So adding on this complication is just a little too much, I think, for beginners. You can come and grab the health here while you're waiting for this car to spawn. You don't have to blow it up. You can just kill all the individual guys. And then you've got more than enough time to get in position to kill these last guys. As you can see, I'm like fucking about here with this guy jumping about. And it's still very, very lenient to get in position to kill these guys. And then kill this guy. But I think for a beginner, getting this part right, this ending section here, is much more important than just getting the grenades. But yeah, as I say, this is part of a two-parter. So I'll meet you after, what mission is it? After the fastest boat, because that's where we're going to implement section 2 of Ammunation Skip, where we'll get the sniper rifle. So I'm just about to finish the fastest boat here, and we're going to execute part 2 of the plan, which is to grab the sniper rifle here. And we're going to grab it in the hedge maze while we are waiting for the Cortez call. Because obviously here we need to answer the Cortez call before we start the next mission. So instead of going around the mansion, whichever way that you usually do, we're going to come this way instead to the hedge maze. And as I say, we're waiting on a phone call here. So as long as we take the phone call as soon as possible, we can head through to the hedge maze. Again, just follow the video, grab the sniper rifle here, and head through. Should get the call just around here-ish. There we go. Take the phone call, and get ready to start supply and demand. And as long as you're on time for the phone call to end, and you answer it somewhat optimally, you haven't lost any time, and yeah, you can continue on for supply and demand. And now you have not only sniper rifle ammo, but also grenades. You don't have to go to ammunition. It is worth noting that you have half of each for the pickups compared to buying them at ammunition. So you only have four grenades rather than 8, and you only have 20 sniper bullets rather than 40. But that's more than enough for what you need. It just means that you need to be a little more, conservative with your ammo. So speaking of supply and demand, you can also use these grenades, the ones that we just got from Ammunation Skip here. Again, if you didn't watch the Ammunation Skip part, this is a prerequisite for what we're about to do here. So just keep that in mind. Like if you want to do this strat, you need to do Ammunation Skip because we need to have the grenades at this point. But we can actually duplicate these grenades into hundreds of grenades. This is called turret mode manipulation, or the 800 nades glitch. You might have heard that before. And it is very particular weapon management. I'm not sure exactly why this works. I just know how it works. But essentially, the only prerequisite to this, besides having the grenades, is you need to start Phnom Penh with basically whatever weapon with the ammo count that you want to change the grenades into. So for example, if you start it with the Uzi equipped, I have like 800 bullets here. I will get that amount of grenades, so I will get 800 grenades. If I start Phnom Penh while equipping the assault rifle, which is what I personally do, because 800 versus 150 is still basically infinite for the run, and it's slightly more optimal to start it with the assault rifle, because you'll have glitched the call, and obviously you'll have the assault rifle for the glitching the call. But you'll have 155 grenades in this particular instance, because basically we're going to copy the ammo count of our grenades over from another weapon. So either the Uzi or the rifle. But basically start Phnom Penh with whatever weapon that you want to copy it over to. So in my routes that you will have learned from the beginner and these videos, you will have this weapon equipped when you start the mission, because you'll be stood on the marker. But whether you have the Uzi or the assault rifle, it doesn't make a difference. And then what you want to do is when you enter this marker, you want to have your grenades equipped. Very important. If any of these things don't work, you won't lose time, but you won't be able to duplicate the grenades, so the strategy won't work. But if you enter this marker with the grenades equipped, and then skip through. We got some competition. And as soon as you gain control here, play a close replay. Switch to your rifle and right click to aim to cancel the Flintstones mode. That is going to activate the glitch. Again, I don't know why, I just know that it works. It is very important that there are 2 ways to cancel the Flintstones mode when you switch to your rifle. There is aiming, which I did there with right click, and there is also shooting. For some reason, shooting doesn't work. I don't know why, again, but you need to right click and aim, and that will trigger the glitch, whereas shooting doesn't. So it's very important that you play the close replay when you gain control, and then you press E or scroll down once to switch to the rifle, and then right click to cancel the Flintstones and drive as normal. And then once we get to the end of the mission, I'll skip through this bit because this bit's boring, and I'm not sure if the actual glitch will work for me right here because I'm using obviously saves, so I don't know if the setup like works between saves. But it will work in a run, and if it doesn't work for me now, I'll show you a case of it working in a run. where it's all sort of strung together, and it'll might make it a little bit easier to understand rather than doing it in segments as well.
Tommy, that's my style because I seem to have this problem in my life.
I nail it every time in practice, and then in runs I fuck it up every time. I just can't do it. At least it's tried to be, you know, conceptually different. Okay, I still got the nades, so that's good. So this is a cool little strat that you can do on Sir Yes Sir. Basically, I'm going to skip the Cherry Poppers replay here because it's not important, but obviously you would make that during a run, but it's not important for the current demonstration. But what you can do is you can use one of your grenades, especially useful obviously if you have the 800 nades that we talked about in the last one, but it's not a requirement. You can do it with any amount. And what you can do is you can shoot this guy from the top and throw a grenade just as you enter, and enter during the explosion, like this. And then what that actually does is, for some reason, it makes the tank not able to collide with the door at the end for the, like, your end target, the garage. I can't think of the word for some reason. So this means that you don't have to, usually you would have to stop and wait for the garage to open and then drive inside. But now you can keep up your speed the whole time and just drive in like the door isn't even there. I'm not sure exactly, again, why this works. I just know that it works, and there you go. Saves a couple of seconds. This, again, isn't a massive time save, but it's not difficult to do. All you need to do is just throw the grenade and enter the vehicle, be in the enter a vehicle animation once the grenade goes off. So it just takes a bit of timing. But very easy to practice and very easy to save a couple of seconds for free. So this is quite a risky strategy that you can choose to do in Death Row. But I've never died doing it yet, you know, famous last words. Unless I make a mistake or something, but with a bit of practice you can get it done. And you just ignore all these guys. If you look down at the ground, you're much less likely to be shot. You just chainsaw this guy, and then that is the only person that you need to kill in order to actually trigger the next section with Lance. So you just run in, chainsaw him, and then run out again. Obviously you'll take quite a bit of damage, but it's usually not enough to be a problem, and even if it is a problem and you're on low health at the end, you can heal at the hospital as you re-enter the helicopter. So as long as you're confident with running Lance in and out, making sure that he's behind you, you know, all this stuff as usual, then you're able to get in and out with taking not a lethal amount of damage. I'd never recommend anyone to do this with anything less than 200 health. And, you know, make sure that you're confident with your rub outs as well. I will show you some strategies for rub out on how to make it a bit easier, a bit safer, a bit more risky. And basically just, you know, use common sense. If you do this section but then you're on low health, heal, or if you don't want to heal, then take rub out a bit safer so that you don't die, and you know, so on and so forth. But the health is just here. I won't park it to the marker because it'll cause an unnecessary cutscene, but pretend I parked in the marker, get out, grab the health, get back in, and you know, continue on your way. So this next strategy for rub out is probably the most difficult execution wise, and it doesn't save that much time. So I'd probably class this as more of an advanced strategy rather than an intermediate one, but I thought I'd include it because I'm right here anyway, so why not? But there is quite a lot to this, so again, if this doesn't like click with you, then don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. So this is also where you want to learn the other slide strategy that I showed earlier on, where you switch between weapons. It makes this a lot easier, trust me. So rather than parking here in the rose bushes, this is something I would recommend everyone to do. It's just overall quite a bit faster. We're instead going to park basically just in between where the Infernus would spawn, which is here in front of me, and where the Stinger spawns for Shakedown, which is about here. So we're going to park in between the two, and we're going to be on the northern side, sort of near the trees here. This parking spot is quite particular. If you park it in the wrong place, it'll despawn. But again, it's just as simple as, you know, drilling it a few times. Another easy way to see if you're in the right place is where the pill is here that we're going to use. It should be like right here in front of you. So it's like slightly southeast. So yeah, the helicopter landing you can do and then just go and start the mission. Or if you want to be fancy, you can glitch the call, pick up the pill here, and that is going to give us a super boost once we set up a slide here. So you're going to take the call, and you're going to run here, and you're going to start a slide. As I say, it's a lot easier when you use the switch weapon slide here. If I can fucking do it, that would be great. There we go. And then you want to quickly exit the movement with the replay that I mentioned before, where you let go of W inside of the replay. That will allow you to keep sliding all the way through this, and as you can see, we'll get a ton of speed. This is much faster than sprinting.
This place is gonna be crawling with assholes. Be careful.
Don't worry, Tony.
We can go here, kill this guy, flip on through, with any luck, flip on through, thank you, and then go here. I'm going to make sure that I'm spamming crouch here, because otherwise I'll knock Diaz too far. Exit back out of the W here, and then finish in the slide like this. When I say exit out the W, again, I can't think of a quicker way to describe that, but basically, again, play a replay, let go of W, and the replay, so that you can continue sliding. Then once you pass the mission, do a 180 and make sure that you're not leaving through the doors that way. Because if you do, you'll get stuck into the... kind of hard to describe, but you'll walk out in the cutscene and you'll get stuck out here in interior mode. If you do that, you just need to walk back in to reload the mansion and then walk out again, which is again like a couple of seconds of time loss. All of that was a bit of a shit explanation. You know, do excuse me for that. But otherwise you just get back in here and it's just like quicker movement basically. You go in, you quickly deal with the guy, clip through. That clip was terrible. Usually it'll be a lot faster than that. Kill Diaz, mass crouch, because otherwise you'll knock into him and you'll knock him out of the way of the wall and you won't be able to chainsaw him through the wall. And then cancel the W input and just finish the mission here and then slide right back out again. And it's much faster than, you know, running around or sliding slowly like before. So the ammunition skip and ammo duplication glitch, turret manipulation, 800 nades, whatever you want to call it, gives you more room for more time save here as well during Shakedown, as you can actually use the grenades to blow up all of the windows, which is not only fast, but it also removes the RNG requirement of having to shoot the windows and pray that you get lucky. The only thing that you need to know here is how to blow up and throw grenades like instantly the second you throw one. So what I mean by this is I'll basically demonstrate it, so I'll show you like this. You see that second throw is way quicker than the first one, which is very, very good, and you know, allows you to not have to mess around with throwing a second time. It adds quite a lot of time on. So what you do is you hold down left click to throw the first one, and then as soon as you let go, you immediately re-hold left click again, as you can see here, and then he'll throw that second one. And basically what you can do is you can use that to take out several sets of windows at once. So you take out those two and take out these ones as well very quickly, like this. So now I've done the demonstration of how to do that grenade. I'll quickly show you how to do it all in one sequence to make it actually fast. So on another attempt here, get into the mall, just blow up these windows, and just run straight here. And instead of shooting these windows, go here, do the fast throw here, and do the same thing on the other side. Throw here, throw here. As you can see, it just nukes all of those windows. And then you can just go ahead and use the regular grenade strategy here. Blow up these two. 1 and 2. And then just use the M4 for these final ones. 1, 2, 3. I fat fingered my mouse there, excuse me. 1, 2. Fucking hell, terrible windows. But yeah, as you can see, the point is that you minimize pretty much all of the RNG. Obviously the two windows with the M4 are still RNG because you still have to deal with the luck of breaking those with bullets. But that's still faster on average than running all the way there, grenading, running all the way to the other side and grenading those. But grenading 95% of the windows is way better than shooting 95% of the windows. So if you followed the beginner's guide, you may have also had an issue with the buying of cherry poppers right here. This is one that can trip up new people because it is basically spamming and hoping that you get lucky. Didn't mean to run that cop over. That's going to make me stopping and stalling and explaining this a little more difficult. I'll just pause. But yeah, so you're basically spamming 2 keys and praying that the cycles line up, which isn't the most consistent thing. And you might think to yourself, is there a more consistent and faster way to do it? And there is. It is just slightly more complicated. So hopefully you have your hold call binds set up. You should do, because I talked about it in the beginner one, but just as a reminder, you need to make sure that you have one key set to both action, which is this button here on foot, which for me is caps lock, and also radio change inside of your car, which is this one here, insert scroll wheel, and I've also got it bound to caps lock here on in the vehicle. Very, very important. It doesn't work otherwise if you don't do this. What you want to do is you want to press your hold call button. You want to tap it and then press F3 the frame after. And the sooner you do it, the more likely you've got of getting it. And also, when you enter a vehicle, you can do it. You can start setting this up as soon as you start getting in. Like, you don't have to wait until you're fully in the car to warp like you do before Guardian Angels. You can start doing this and bam, you just play it. And as soon as you see the marker disappear like that, you've got it correctly. Then you just wait for Tommy to get into the car and you'll warp automatically. So you don't need to spam. You just press, for me, it's caps lock F3 right afterwards until you see the marker disappear. As soon as you do, you've warped. Congratulations. So I've just got back to the mansion before starting Copland in this run. And while we take the Avery call, we can actually set up a warp back to the mansion for later on in the game, which is a really easy, like 10-15 second time save. I'd recommend anybody learn to pick this up as soon as you've grasped the basics. It's very, very simple to do. There's only a couple of things that you need to keep in mind. So while you answer the call, run into the mansion and just make a replay over the save marker or where it would be. You can't see it because you're on mission 1, but it's literally just around the back of the chair here. So in the middle of this sort of carpet section, make the replay and then just go and start the mission.
Later, Avery.
And then once you finish Copland, I'll see you there in just a second. Then we'll execute part 2 of this. There's sort of 3 parts total. So yeah, I'll show you part 2 in just a second. So once you've finished Copland, we're going to go over towards spilling the beans and print works and everything. And this is where part 2 comes in for the mansion warp. We are going to get out of our helicopter here, answer the Sunny call as normal. And then what we're going to do is we're going to jump and play our replay that we have. So I do it twice to be safe. Once is usually enough, but I jump and play it twice. And that's to buffer so that when next time we're in Starfish Island, which will be at the end of the game, it'll warp us straight to the mansion. The reason why I jump when I do it is because if you play a replay while sprinting, as you can see, it sort of like stops Tommy. Whereas if you jump, you still have that forward momentum so that you can keep running towards the print works and be in time. So otherwise the call runs out like this and you're not in time and you lose a few seconds running. Obviously, ideally, you want the call to finish right as you're right next to the biomarker. But yeah, the only things that you need to keep in mind for the mansion warp going forward is that you don't re-enter Starfish because you'll teleport. Instead, what you want to do is re-enter Starfish during part 3, which I'll show you in just a second. But the other thing is that you don't want to pick up too many unnecessary objects because the game has like a certain a list of objects, basically like a queue that it can handle. And if you pick up too many things, then it'll forget the fact that you've got that buy warp set up. So if you pick up too many guns, too many save markers, too much money during hit the courier, then the save warp might not work. But as long as you do everything like you should do, then it should work. But just keep that in mind. But I'll show you part 3 just now, which is after Captor Collectors. So once you just killed these last set of collectors, you'll hop on the bike. And rather than driving all the way back to the mansion, you're just going to drive to where the Starfish trigger is. The optimal way to do it is to hop off the bike. I'll show you exactly where. Just if you want to be as efficient as possible and you're certain that the mansion warp will work. What you do is you hop off the bike here, you answer the call, and then you jump up here. And then you wait, and you just cross over into Starfish Island after the call takes place. If you walk over the trigger to Starfish, which is like here, also on the bridge, if you walk over this trigger, and you're on mission 1, you won't warp. So you need to make sure that the call's finished before you go too deep over the bridge. Then you'll warp. The problem with that is that if you don't have the warp, then you'll be stood here without your bike like an idiot. So what you can do, which is a couple of seconds slower, but if you're not confident and you're not sure that the warp's going to work, but you still want to be fast, then instead you can bike this way and just bike onto the bridge. Take your bike with you. You'll still teleport. And then all you need to do is once you cross over, to your teleport, get out and just answer this call. Pretend this is the Lance call. It's not. But pretend that's the Lance call. That will unlock KIC and then you just start the mission. So this strategy is something that I would recommend if you are good enough that you're not getting rain after hit the Courier insta passes. So basically what you need to know here is that I've just completed, when I reload the save and we start, I've just completed the Cherry Poppers insta passes, so I've just done 5. And then when I reload the save, we'll be doing hit the Courier, the actual mission for real. So I'll start, I'll answer the phone call. The Sunny phone call will push, and this is something that you need to bear in mind. Don't worry about pushing, by the way. Actually, I'll do you one better. This, because it's in a save, the bike doesn't usually push like this. It doesn't fall over. But if I hold the call, re-enter it like this, then it'll be normally in a run, and then I can just answer the call like this. There you go. Here's exactly how it would go in a run. As you can see, I can push the bike like normal now. But yeah, don't do this in rain. You can do it, but it's even more tight, and it's already tight enough as it is, so this will need some practice. But it does save quite a bit of time, so I would recommend it if you're getting to large, you know, like sub 1 hour, going down towards like 58, 57, etc. But basically what we're going to do is, this is the whole like private business you're not welcome thing. If you've seen that, you'll be familiar with this. But basically the idea is that you you skip all of the dialogue lines using the private business you're not welcome lady, take 2 phone calls during this mission, and then you can set it up in such a way that you instantly get the CtC call the second you finish at the Courier, rather than having to wait 20 seconds for it to come like you usually would. So what you do is you wait until you start saying that first long line there, and then you just walk back and forth, as you can see. Some people do it with the mouse, but I prefer to do it with the keyboard. And all that you do is just wait for every single line and just walk in and out like this. So as soon as you see the subtitles, you can move back. And this one is the last line. So obviously it'll help if you know the dialogue lines, so you can recognize the start of them to know when you're about to finish. And then you repark your bike like this. Come over here. Make sure that you're not too close to this boatyard icon, because you won't get the phone call. So you want to be stood like here in this kind of glitchy spot on the corner. Have the call ready to glitch. Listen to this second call. Chainsaw the lady. This is what you need to be in time for to make sure she doesn't get into here, into the car and drive away. This one we can skip. This one we can skip. This one, next one we don't have to. And then you can get on the bike, play the replay. Obviously I don't have the save marker replay, so I activated the rampage. I shouldn't have done that in hindsight. But what will happen is when you're not on mission 1, you'll teleport here, and then you can just quickly finish the mission, jump over the marker, and then you'll get the phone call instantly. So because of messing this up, I'll quickly redo it, and I'll just show you what happens when you have to save marker replay. So let me make it, and then we'll redo the mission. I'll show you the second half as well. Yeah, forgot that the rampage replay would screw me over there. It's what happens when you record things in a weird order, you see.
Private business, you're not welcome.
I gotta go.
So we're back. Play the save replay, the replay that you were supposed to have, but I forgot I would have a rampage replay ready in my F3 cache. But yeah, so you play the save replay, walk back as soon as you can, and then get off and go and just jump over the marker as soon as possible. And this will time it, assuming that you do everything correct and you're fast enough, that you'll get the phone call to come in for CtC right afterwards. The important thing is that you don't kill anybody extra, because if you do, you won't be able to get the phone call. There you go. There's the phone call. Answer it. You start the captive collectors right away. So you don't have to wait 20 seconds for the call to come in. It's right here. So this leads me nicely into CtC Snipe. This only saves 10 seconds, so I wouldn't get too hung up on it if you can't get it, because this snipe is pretty difficult. It's very complicated as to how it works, and like there are like certain pixel lineups that you can do. There's like different like pixels that you can select and all this kind of shit. But I'm just going to show you a sort of one-size-fits-all solution that will work most of the time, and it's worth going for. You get about 2 chances, because you should fire about 10 bullets, and if you don't get the shot, then just try again, and 2 chances is enough to most get it most of the time. So what you do is you start the mission and you crouch down here. Very important that you crouch. And then what you want to do is so you see how I've got this this sniper rifle, like, UI here. You've got the sort of bullseye, the red dot in the middle, and then you've got the smaller circle just on the outside of that. Then you've got the larger circle that encompasses that. You want to line up the left side. If you look on the outer circle, there's like 4 quadrants, right? Like there's like four quarters. You want to line up the section of the left side of the middle of the it's hard to describe, but I'll put an arrow on the screen pointing where I'm talking about. But basically the top left quarter and the bottom left quarter, where those meet on the edge of the circle. That's probably a horrible description. Just get what I mean with the visual cue. And you want to line that up with this door here. You want to line it up with just the above section. If you look at the middle of the door, there's a middle line here that goes through the door, and you want to line it up so you're just above the middle of the door, but not below it. As close to it as possible, but always on the upper side of the door. So line it up like this. This pixel should work. And when you shoot, it's also very important to not spam too quickly, because if you shoot and then immediately play a replay too fast, you will despawn your bullets. So you want to do it as more of a rhythm that I'll show you in a second. Also, good timing. If anybody walks in front of you like this, just let them pass. Or if there's any cars or anything like that, you don't want to be shooting them because they'll just get in the way. So if you've got any peds or anything, let them get out of the way and then do the liner. Also, make sure that you're crouched, as I said before. If you're lining up and you're taking a while, Tommy can uncrouch, so make sure that you're crouched. Very, very important. And then just shoot like this. 10 bullets, and if you don't get it with 10 bullets, re-aim and try again. You'll know if you've got it because, as you can see, the dark red sort of maroon marker has moved from here to here on your minimap. And you've also got the text on the screen that tells you to go and kill the next collectors. And then from here, you can go up. You can actually cut through this way as well from the printworks, which is a little bit faster. And you can go and set up for the second snipe and the third snipe and go from there. So that was almost all of the intermediate strats that I could think of. If you're thinking to yourself, oh, English Ben, why didn't you incorporate this strat or that strat? It's probably because I don't think it's worth the time investment to learn, or you should be at a level where you should be able to watch the world record at a more advanced level and be able to recreate it without a tutorial, right? Which is always what I said about beginner to intermediate stuff. But yeah, so that's pretty much all the things that I could think of that when you're around like between like a sub 1 and a 55 level, around that time, you should start implementing these things. They're pretty easy to do, not too much time investment. And, you know, when you get onto later things, it's more about like, you know, ECJ driving, helicopter flight, that kind of stuff, where you can save quite a bit of time by just being more efficient with those to get your times down. But yeah, any questions, feel free to always, you know, post them in the comments as usual, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can, assuming that I see it. Sometimes YouTube hides comments from me for no reason. But yeah, thanks for watching, and yeah, see you in the next one. Take care.